The August 15th, 2022 Columbus City Council meeting will now come to order. In compliance with the Open Meeting Act, Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1407, a current copy is posted in this meeting room. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Bulkley.
Here.
Augustine Schulte. Here. Barr.
Here.
Hemer.
Here.
Jablonski.
Here.
Kreshaw.
Here.
Lohr.
Here.
Roth.
Here.
Schilling.
Here.
Mayor Bulkley, the roll has been called.
Thank you. Mrs. Council President.
Our Father, thank you for the opportunity to serve our fellow citizens. Please give us your wisdom and guidance to make the proper decisions entrusted to this governmental body. May our conduct show respect, honor, and courtesy to each other, as well as to all our citizens. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. I welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. If at any time during tonight's meeting, anyone in our audience would like to address an item on our agenda, we'd ask that you please get up, come forward, give your name and address, and we'd ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Item 4, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a City Council member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent status and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item 4A, minutes of the August 1st, 2023 City Council meeting. Item 4B, resolution number R22-100, approving the agreement with Skoda Central Catholic for the use of property for sports and other recreational activities. Item 4C, resolution number R22-101, approving memorandum of understanding and stormwater drainage easement agreement with Columbus Public Schools and the Fieldhouse Project. Item 4D, resolution number R22-102, authorizing payment of various improvement projects. Item 4E, Finance Department reports. Item 4F, payroll and bills on file. Mr. Mayor and Council, is there anything you would like removed from consent status?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the items on the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to public hearings.
Item 7A, public hearing, 1 and 6 year plan.
Anyone here to speak for, well, I was going to say against this public hearing.
Well, you know,
Rick is
I
definitely
could,
not
I
against
suppose.
this.
All right, then how about anybody who wants to speak for this public hearing?
That's probably more like me. Rick Bogus, city engineer, and I guess on today's subject, the street superintendent of record. So as you know, from year to year, every year we have to do the 1 and 6 year road plan. It's a good time of year to do it because it goes along with the budgeting. We've all been talking about roads, formations of street improvement districts, pavement management programs, and things of that nature. So this is one of the requirements that the state DOT requires of us to do to get our highway user allocation money. So we do that 1 year plan, which is ideally it's all projects that we work on this year. We may not get them done all in the year, but it's all the projects we work on in a year, and then 6 year plan out. So it's good for planning. So this year we have 16 projects on our 1 year plan. We have 6 of them that are continued from last year. There's 13 actually city or state projects. There are 3 of them that are private, and those private would be like subdivisions and paving that's associated with that. So it's 49.8 million. That does not mean we're going to do 49.8 million this year. The requirement of the form is you fill out the project and all the money that's associated with it. So, for example, the big dollar amounts, the highway project, that has to be on here. That's like 32 million. This is for next year, so we're only going to get about 10 or 11 million done on that. So there's about 28 million of it that I think we are going to get done. So with that, does anybody have any questions?
Of course, you mentioned 28 million, but that's not all directly out of our pockets either, is it? It's shared with state funding, some maybe federal funding, and it's just...
State funding, federal funding, and then those private subdivisions too, so that'd be private development, right?
Awesome. Any other questions for Mr. Bogus?
Mr. Mayor, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7A1, resolution number R22-103, adopting the 1 and 6 year plan.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of resolution number R22-103.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R022-103. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7A2, resolution number R22-104, authorizing the mayor to sign the municipal annual certification of program compliance for 2022 to the Nebraska Board of Public Roads, Classifications, and Standards.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of resolution number R22-104 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R22-104, telling me to sign something. What am I signing? What does that mean?
You're saying that everything was done in compliance in 2022, so we can get that highway allocation money.
So it just follows along with what we just did.
Right.
Okay, gotcha. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
I did.
I voted twice.
I can vote
I
again.
voted twice too.
2 boxes came out?
What?
2 boxes came out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a Republican.
Everybody wants me to sign.
important document.
Yes, only one.
I'm not taking it home and putting it in a box. Motion passes.
Item 7B, public hearing, application of Ferguson Properties Incorporated for special use permit to allow building coverage to be increased from 40% to 50% in an R2 two-family residential district zone located east of the intersection of 25th Avenue and 38th Street. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Anyone here this evening to speak against this public hearing? Anyone here to speak for this public hearing?
Mr. Mayor, I move the hearing be closed.
Second.
A motion and a second to close the hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 7B1, ordinance number 22-20, approving the special,
Mr.
my
Mayor,
computer jumped, sorry. Is that, yes, approving the special use permit. There we go, sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I move the rules be suspended and ordinance number 22-20 be read by number only.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read ordinance number 22-20 by number only. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 7C, public hearing, application of Platte,
Nope.
ordinance number 22-20.
Mr. Mayor, I move ordinance number 22-20 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 22-20. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed nay. Motion passes.
Item 7C, public hearing, application of Platte County Ag Society and the Columbus Exposition and Racing for a special use permit to allow gaming facilities and commercial recreation in an RR rural residential district zone located at 822 15th Street. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Is there anyone here this evening to speak against this public hearing? Please come forward.
I'm Barb Cave, 2014 31st Street, and I would just like to list a couple things for the committee to consider. If in fact this is short-term, and I think it would be great if we have some type of a time limit as far as that goes, because I've heard anything from 12 months to 24 months. And the reason I say that is, I know people think it sounds crazy, but we do have two cemeteries on both sides of Ag Park, and you have a casino in between. Some of the concerns would be if you've gone to other casinos, if you are a gambler, if you're not, you may not have seen it, but you will have people possibly sleeping in the cemetery, leaving their trash in the cemeteries. I mean, there's some concerns that could take place. Residential home values typically go down 4 to 10% in an area of a casino. And if we tie up Ag Park for 12, 24, 36 months, that takes away other activities for our community. And then once they do leave, if they get the revenue that they need, they could, then Ag Park will have to reconstruct for an event to take place there. So we could be looking at 4 to 5 years before another event could take place out there. So I am opposed to it being located at Ag Park.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
what happens to the fair should this pass?
That would be a question that you would have to take up with the Ag Society.
And they're not representing themselves here tonight at all.
Yeah.
Maybe they are.
Well, but the,
Mike Chalaha, 4636 32nd Street. John, at this point, from our conversation, the Platte County Fair will still take place. Now, how that looks, I don't know, because at this point, we don't even know how much, if it's approved, that Caesars will have of the building.
How much you will consume of the available space.
Yes. So you're asking something that right now we can't even answer for you, but, I mean, have we had the discussion? Yes, there will be a Platte County Fair. And again, we don't know what that looks like due to the fact that we're not exactly sure how much of the space will be used by Caesars if everything's approved. And that's also still in discussion. So that hasn't been exactly approved yet either. So it could look exactly like it did last year if nothing moves forward. So it'd be speculation at this point.
So we vote on speculation.
no, you're voting on.
You're voting on
Voting on anything.
You're voting to offer a special use permit
That's-
to Ag Park that they would then use if they come together with their negotiations
Right.
for what they need to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's totally out of our hands as the
So
city.
the power is still with the park then.
Oh, yeah.
Ag
We
Park,
don't, I mean, if the permit doesn't occur, then there's no opportunity to move forward with Caesars out of that facility. So I can't answer the question, but yeah, it's speculative right now, so.
Thank you.
I have a question. We have this is the public hearing, so when the public hearing is closed and we vote, are we voting, we're just voting for this first part to just close the hearing, not for the actual ordinance to be passed?
Right.
Is that correct?
Right.
Right, okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Just a question for Mr. Schlott.
Yes.
How did your board vote on this?
We haven't voted yet.
Why?
It's still being reviewed by our legal counsel.
So,
And we hope to have that. I understand it's in the process. They've looked at it, and I'm hoping that we'll have the results of that proposal or the review of that proposal Monday night for our board meeting.
so you're not sure if the board will even approve this?
It's not definite, no.
Okay, but you want us to, based on,
We can't move forward if you don't approve it. I mean, if the facility's not available, then why would we meet?
okay,
So, I mean, you gotta have the permit before we can
I
decide.
understand. But I just curious about where your board was on this.
Yeah, we've had this, at the last board meeting, we discussed moving forward to continue the discussion, but it had not been reviewed by the legal counsel yet.
Okay.
So that's in their possession right now. I understand that'll be done, the hopes are by Monday night. That's really the goal. So then that will be presented and we can find out what's in that proposal that maybe doesn't look right or should be changed or being renegotiated. So,
At the planning commission meeting, you spoke about, we're going to try and work with all these vendors, St. Anthony's, the whatever, the wedding receptions.
people that have
the gun
events
show.
scheduled, yes.
You're advertising on the sign that you're Columbus's largest event hall. I understand that. Where else are you gonna put these people that are using that whole facility when they put on their functions?
Well, we've talked, Charlie, about a number of facilities, one of those being the Ramada Inn, potentially. There's the Eagles Club, there's the Legion. So there's numerous, we haven't got into the detailed discussions yet because we're not sure as a board that we're going to eliminate those events from the park. Again, until Monday night, we don't know if the board decides to move forward with that. Then I would say at that point, yes, we've got to be in that negotiation, contact those individuals and do what we can to work with them to make it work for them. So, but that's a very good question, and the fact that I don't, at this point, there's a number of locations, just a matter of the venue and some events may not get rescheduled, some events may not be back. I mean, that's a potential, so.
Thank you.
I have a question for Neil. A lot of these events, weddings, whatever, are under contract. I'm assuming that the Ag Park has a contract with these folks. And should we pass the special use permit and these folks don't have a place to go, what's our liability?
Whatever contract they have with the Ag Society is between them and the Ag
Yeah,
Society, not
that's
between
our
the city. The
Well, I
city
mean, you
has,
can sue anybody for anything, Neil. I mean, I'm just saying, what's our exposure here?
right, and if that happens, we would move to be dismissed out of that case right away for not being a party. All you're doing is approving the special use permit, whether the entity that has requested it is going to put it into effect or not. That's up to them. I think you'd also have to look at this as if they meet all the requirements for the special use permit and you deny it, you're potentially exposing yourself that way as well. And so you're right. Anybody can always sue somebody for whatever they want. I feel pretty confident that we'd be able to get out of it because we're just taking the step of acknowledging that yes is permitted under our code, and whether they follow through with it, that's on them.
Our contract, so I guess
Yeah, but I didn't know, but,
No, good question, but-
We're doing something above and beyond.
you're just allowing.
We're gonna be in the middle of something here.
But you didn't sign the contract, so I would have to concur the fact anybody can sue for anything, but the contract is with the Ag Society.
understand.
So
But you piss enough people off.
it's inevitable.
Any other discussion? Yes, sir.
Our lady from the audience mentioned the sunset provision for this. Is that a reasonable thing to do? I would hate to set a precedent for having gambling out there on a permanent basis well, we establish it today, and then for whatever reason, we don't go forward out west, and things stay at Ag Park. I don't think that's the place to have the gambling on a permanent basis. I'm wondering if we can provide a sunset provision to this that it lasts for 60 months and goes away.
Rick and I are looking at the proposed ordinance right now. In section 1, there's a 2-year period, so that's covered.
I'm sorry,
Section 1 of the proposed ordinance, it's a 2-year period, so there's already a sunset within it.
That's 2 years.
2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
So it's,
2 years.
your question, your comment's already addressed within
Already-
the ordinance.
It's in the ordinance.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
You know, and I think it's important to recognize too, and I mean, none of this was absolutely set in stone in 2020 when the vote was taken. But, you know, Platte County, over 67 or 68% approved legalized gambling, and I'm pretty comfortable that the majority assumed that meant Ag Park because it was approved at horse racing facilities. So those percentages felt Ag Park was going to be where it was. This has evolved since that vote. Again, you know, it's an assumption, but you know, we're all kind of throwing out conjecture here. But I think the percentage that approved it is certainly not conjecture. So we are just trying to do some things that would allow some of this to move forward if the other parties get their stuff together. If they don't get their stuff together, this is mute. And if they get it together, it's only good for 24 months. So then they better get their lead out and start building so they don't have to worry about coming back in front of us. So, anyway, anyone else want to speak against or for? Well, I guess we're into for and against because Mike got up
As a board member, I'm going to look at the proposal. I want to see what's in there. What's you know, I haven't looked at the proposal myself. I have looked at it slightly, but I don't have an opinion at this point. That's what we hire the legal counsel for. So, and then we'll look at what they have to say and move forward from there.
Okay. You're welcome if you'd like.
Good evening, Tom Jackson, Columbus Exposition and Racing. Just to give you a quick update, November 2020, it was approved unanimously through the state. It took approximately 19 months for the rules and regulations to be established, which actually were signed in May. At this point, Caesars was awarded the casino operator license or partnership in Columbus. They are looking to start building at the 1st of September. This is a request for a temporary site at Ag Park. We've addressed a lot of the issues from Ms. Cave on security, hassles within that may be perceived with gaming. I'll guarantee you that Caesars is very committed to this community. They do not want anything that goes bad in this community to reflect back on them. Caesars and myself have met with the emergency management team of Columbus, being the chief of police, chief of fire, Platte County Sheriff's emergency management team, Columbus Hospital emergency. We have started the dialogue to address any potential conflicts that could happen in this community. Caesars has a direct contract with Chief Scheer to go down to Council Bluffs, view any and all security mechanisms, trials and tribulations of what happened in Council Bluffs, so that we can be ahead of that curve and prevent those type of issues from happening. In regards to events, we are trying to work through an agreement at this point. Caesars has committed to address every issue with any event that's out there, whether to relocate them or set a plan with the Ag Society to use other parts of the facility. But we are looking to just rent the hall at the Ag Park for the gaming piece, a temporary casino. The building of the new site, I hope to have it done sooner than later, but I would say it would not be more than 20 months. I'm hoping 15, but as all these permits and I's dotted, T's crossed, we need to address, those issues, clean things up, make sure that we're moving forward accordingly. I'll take any questions that you guys may have or concerns.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Well, I just had one concern that I'm sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to. I guess I do have a lot of concerns about the location. I respectfully disagree with the mayor about the location. I think I have never heard anyone presuming that it was going to be at the Ag Park to begin with, or at least anyone who's approached me about it after the vote. It was all presumed out at Wishbones, and those are in that area, and that's what's always been asked of me. I've never heard anything otherwise.
Sure.
I feel, as I expressed to you at the Planning Commission meeting, I feel uncomfortable, even if it's temporary in a residential neighborhood. We're talking about a casino that's working during business hours, I'm presuming, from 10 in the morning, or it's not just open in the evening, correct?
The hours haven't been set yet, but they're not going to be a 24/7, 365 operation.
Okay, but I'm presuming it's a regular workday, and the reason I'm asking is even to have, we're gonna have construction going along on the highway, and we've got 15th Street to get to the Ag Park. So right now already you've got just one street that gets you in and out of the Ag Park, or 17th Street, but nothing is gonna be going in and out. So you've got that traffic piece right there. People coming in and out of the cemetery, and the traffic with the casino. It's also 2 blocks away from a public swimming pool. It's across the street from a potential rescue mission, homeless mission. It's 5 blocks from an elementary school, 6 blocks from a junior high and high school. And while it just may be temporary, 18 months, a lot of things can happen in 18 months.
Understood.
And so I'm just saying, I just feel very uncomfortable with it. The community, I think for the most part, was under the impression that it was gonna be out west of town, not 5 blocks from an elementary school or that close to a residential neighborhood. And so there's a part of me that's a little uncomfortable saying, well, we told you this, but now we're gonna tell you this. Or we told the Ag Society, told all of these people, yeah, you can use our venue, but now you can't. And I guess to me, that doesn't reflect very well on us. It doesn't reflect very well on the ag. So my personal, I am opposed to that. So, and those are the reasons why.
I appreciate your comments, and to address your concerns on neighborhoods and all that, I would encourage you to have a visit with Chief Shear and his comments or his visits with Caesars on how they handle things within the community, because in Council Bluffs they have similar perceived conflicts that are addressed, and I believe we're being forthright in addressing those concerns right off the bat.
Well, since we're voting on this tonight, we'd have to have the chief come up and explain that now, I think, because.
Be happy to.
Are you comfortable with that, Chief?
When I was first brought into the conversation, like you, I was just concerned that it was going to be at Wishbones. And we met with Mr. Jackson and his management team and talked about responding to situations out there. Since that time, we've also met with Caesars about the possibility of them opening up at Ag Park. Now, the only concern I have with Ag Park is that's out of our jurisdiction, and so we won't be able to respond to that. However, if there are concerns in the neighborhood, we'll respond just like we do to anything else. And I think that we have sufficient staff to be able to deal with that. And with issues that might be occurring at the cemetery, if it's brought to our attention, we'll deal with it abruptly. So that shouldn't be a concern. And if we do hear any issues, we'll bring them to the management's attention at Caesars. And they've assured us that they will do everything they can to work with us to make sure that those things don't occur again in the future. So right now I have to take them at their face value, that they say they're going to be able to work with us. And I've talked with my counterparts in Council Bluffs, and they were all happy with the response they got from Caesars and the other casinos in the Council Bluffs area. And they work with them to mitigate any issues. And so I'm confident that they'll continue that same level of cooperation with us here.
So then, but then the sheriff's department is also involved in some way, isn't it? Because some of that area is in the county.
The ag park is in the county, and that would be totally up to the sheriff. I know that Mr. Jackson has met with the sheriff and his staff. I'm not privy to all their conversations, but I do know that the sheriff was at one of the meetings I was at and had an obligation to ask about issues that might come up that might address them.
Yeah, because I think like when you go down 10th Avenue, down 17th Street, isn't that part of the county? And the reason I ask is because quite a few years ago, I was an offender bender, and when I called the police, our police department, they said you have to call the sheriffs.
Right, I think that's
So you have sections of streets that are
in
city.
that particular area, yeah,
and
there are
sections of
portions of it
streets
that
that
are county. Right,
And so that's the juggling, the balancing.
right. But if that would occur, we would respond, and then we would stand by until a deputy got there to take care of business.
Thank you, Chief.
Any other questions I might be able to answer? I can tell you that I've been very happy with my conversations with Caesars up to this point. And like I said, I have to take them at face value until something doesn't work. But right now, they tell me that they're going to work with us with every opportunity to mitigate any issues that might occur. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
One last comment in regards to access roads and all that. There are two west entrances to Ag Park. There's one north entrance, and then there's one on the east side also. So they're going to do their best to, watch traffic flow and everything else to, satisfies your worries. One other comment was in regards to the fair. We've been working with the Ag Park, or Caesar's been working with the Ag Park since April, discussing the potential of a temporary site out there. We're at that final negotiation of getting a contract. So we're at those stages of finalizing it, but we need this step to go forward. And that will bring some revenue back to the city and the county. So any other questions? Thank you for your time.
Mr. Mayor, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay.
Twice again. I'm changing parties.
Voted twice. Voted nay.
We have to close the public hearing.
Oh,
So
okay.
you wanna
This is the daily double.
push your cancel.
Cancel.
It must be. I'm not sure what it's doing.
Motion passes.
Well, I voted yes.
Item 7C1, ordinance number 22-21, approving the special use permit.
Mr. Mayor, I move the rules be suspended and ordinance number 22-21 be read by number only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read ordinance number 22-21 by number only. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Ordinance number 22-21.
Mr. Mayor, move for the adoption of ordinance number 22-21.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 22-21. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to reports from council committees.
Item 10A, Public Property, Safety and Works Committee of August 8th, 2022. Item 10A1, request of Judy and Edwin Stankowski to amend the city code to allow golf carts on residential streets. The Public Property Safety and Works Committee recommends staff be authorized to proceed with an amendment to the city code to allow golf carts on city streets with speed limits of less than 35 miles per hour upon approval of a permit with an annual fee of $10.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this committee report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt this committee report. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Is there any chance we could make an amendment that says for medical purposes? I know that's what Stankowski's have asked, but can we limit it to carts with a medical purpose? Because, I mean, I think we're just gonna have an overflow of these things. I thought UTVs, they say, oh, there'll only be 4 or 5 of them. You see them all over town now.
Yeah.
So I guess my concern is if we allow this to go without any guidelines, I guess I'd be a little, I'd be a little more comfortable if we said medical. But I don't know how you enforce that, I guess. I suppose if you got your oxygen tank on your cart, you got a medical reason. But I mean, I don't, that's just a thought. When you write up the ordinance, I don't know, am I out of line?
We can write the ordinance however the city council wishes that we write it. We'd have to figure out how to set some parameters, and it'd probably be through the application process, that maybe a medical note, a note from a doctor or something like that. Yeah, we can write it that way.
Similar to maybe how you have to get a handicap sticker. You've got a form you gotta fill out, and you know.
We had looked at the ones from Stromsburg, and they didn't have anything like that, so that's why it's not included so far, so. I wouldn't go for that part of it, but that's just me.
You wouldn't?
I would not,
Okay.
because I want to get one. So,
You're already parking in the handicap
to be honest,
spot. Charlie, you're already parking in the handicap.
oh, I got a handicap sticker, so.
I have a question. So what is the difference here then? Because we have the permits for the UTVs. And so why get a golf cart when we already have permits for the UTVs with the flags and the?
It's a different type of vehicle. Golf cart is technically not a UTV, so I would assume a UTV is a little more expensive than a golf cart probably is.
Probably goes faster.
So
Yeah,
will
UTV goes faster.
So will they follow all of the same like I think the UTVs cannot cross the highway unless they are at
Good
a,
question, will they have brake lights and signals?
yeah. Yeah, they can only cross the highway at the lights and those kinds of things. Will they be holding the same thing?
Chuck Shear, Police Chief. When this was first brought to my attention, I guess I got to thinking about UTVs and the issues we have with them, and we really haven't had any issues with the UTVs. The operators have been very insightful and they obey the laws. We really have minimal issues. But the recommendation I had was if we look at golf carts in the same vein that we look at UTVs, I really don't see much of a difference except Tara mentioned the cost. There's a big cost between UTVs and golf carts. But we're just not going to allow any golf cart that's going to be on the street. It's going to have to be retrofitted with blinkers, headlights, brake lights, horns, seat belts. The only thing I wouldn't recommend that the UTVs are required, and that's by the manufacturer, is a roll bar. I don't think you have too many golf carts with roll bars. But we would make sure that they would have every other piece of equipment that's necessary to operate a vehicle on the street. So, like I said, blinkers, headlights, brake lights, those type of things. We'd also have them go through a permit process. They'd have to have a flag on the back, just like a UTV does. They'd have to have a Class O operator's license to operate it, just like a UTV operator would. So that would keep underage children from being able to drive the golf carts on the streets. So we'd ask that they adhere to the same requirements that the UTVs do. And so looking at it from that perspective, I really didn't see an issue with it. If they drive them as responsibly as the people that drive the UTVs, we're not going to have much of a problem. And they can't drive on the highways. They have to drive on, they can drive across the highways perpendicular to them, and they have to drive them between sunrise and sunset. They can't operate them at night. And so with those restrictions in place, I don't think there'd be much difference to operate them as it would UTVs. Now, there currently is a state law that allows golf carts to be ridden adjacent to golf courses on city streets. But the way it was proposed to me was they just didn't want to ride it adjacent to the golf course. They wanted to drive them around town. And as long as they operate them like the UTVs do, I really don't see much of a problem with that.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, what about the being visible? Aren't they a lot lower than, say, an ATV or something? I mean, I realize.
Well, ATVs aren't allowed on the street for that.
Right, ATV.
And the
but
flag, you said that.
But we'll have the flag on the back.
They'll have a flag on them, but.
And the visibility, that's why we want them to have the headlights and the brake lights and the turn signals
all
and so
that.
forth, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, but you're right, Dennis, they do sit lower.
yeah. That's the problem, I think. They'll be harder to see, I think.
Well, but they also, some of them have tops on them that make them just as tall as a UTV, and some even taller, I think.
Yeah.
What about taxation and registration? For
They're,
these
they're not
vehicles?
required to be registered like a regular vehicle, but we'd allow them to go through a permit process just like we do UTVs. So they'd pay an annual permit fee. They'd have to have a tag on the back, just like a UTV would have to. And that becomes their registration.
We're talking about a $10 registration
Right.
fee. Is that really sufficient to cover the costs associated with doing the paperwork and
I think that could be,
cost effective here?
arguably, we could increase that, but currently we're at $10. So we wanted to keep the price commensurate with where we're currently at. And you guys just passed the fee ordinance for all of those things. So in order to change that, we have to go back and revisit that.
I don't think it's enough, but I'm not gonna go back and change it, but we need to put it on.
Next year's agenda.
We haven't finalized the fee schedule. We had a discussion about it, but we did not
We have not
we have not finalized it.
We can certainly take a look at that, but what happens, to make an application with our clerk's office, then a police officer goes out and actually inspects it and makes sure that it meets all the criteria.
I think a registration fee is appropriate. I don't think the $10 registration fee is enough. I think it ought to be in the $30 to $50 range.
Well, if we do that, I'd recommend we do it not just for the golf courts, but for UTVs as
So
well.
it needs to be
Yeah,
uniform.
uniform.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Uniformed, absolutely.
Now, we can certainly revisit that. I'm not opposed to it whatsoever.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that came out of your discussion, Chief, is the fact that you've had virtually no issues with the UTVs.
Right.
So, I mean, assuming we are fortunate, that would be the case here. And I'd remind everybody that if we had issues, we can rescind an ordinance. I mean, if Chief was to come in front of us in 12 months and say, this is a joke, they're terrible, well, we can remove them. I mean, what we're doing is not setting the world in stone. It's offering something to allow them to try it.
And I'm not against the
No, no.
ordinance.
I think you're, That's good.
Don't think we're setting our bar high enough as far as a fee is concerned.
Well, I have to be honest, when we first considered the UTVs, I was concerned that there might be issues with safety with what a UTV entitles or what it all encompasses versus a 2,000-pound automobile or a truck that's even heavier. And that I don't think the results will be very good, but fortunately, we haven't had those issues.
Question, they can't go on a 4-lane, but they could go on a 2-lane. So like if you had to go to Vanburg, you'd have to go down to 12th Avenue to cross to get across the track.
Or 8th Street to cross.
Yeah, I mean, but to get there from the north side, you'd have to go to the viaduct, and you couldn't go to the 33rd Avenue. Straight
No, we wouldn't no, because,
You'd have to go to the 2-lane.
right, because 33rd Avenue is also a US highway.
Right. So you'd have
Right.
to go to the 2-lane.
Right. They have to stay off any of the highways.
Thank you.
Chief, is the registration fee annual?
Yes, it's annual.
So they have to renew it?
Right, they have to renew it every year.
Okay, thank you.
And they do have to carry insurance. I don't think that has come up.
any other discussion?
Now, one of the things you might consider in the ordinance is if we have any violators or repeat violators, that might be an opportunity for us to deny a permit. You might want to include that.
Sounds good.
On the annual renewal, is it just a paper transaction? You don't go back out and look at the vehicle?
No, we
make
go
sure
back
all the
out and
blinkers-
look.
Okay,
Yeah.
so to Brent's thoughts, that fee is way too low then.
Yeah, we go back out and look.
Way too.
Yep, we have our clerical staff process the paperwork in the front office, then a police officer goes out and actually inspects it.
All right, that's way too low, $10.
When I asked for that $10 fee, I was trying to keep it the same as the fee for the UTV.
Yep. Yep.
So if we're gonna change it, we'll have to change it across the board.
Yep.
And then Troy did comment about insurance. Is that something that is
Yes.
a part of
Already
it?
It's already in there.
All right,
And it is UTVs as well.
good. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
And the another important part is the Class O operator's license.
Yes.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you.
And we're just, so we're not voting for the ordinance yet. The ordinance hasn't been created yet. We're just voting for the committee report, just to clarify. Okay.
All right, we have,
Ordinance back.
Mr. Mayor, recommend the report be adopted.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to adopt this committee report. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed, nay. And I would assume we'd bring it back with much of the discussion we had.
Please try again.
I got two again.
I didn't
Have
get
to
any.
cancel
I voted twice.
I'll cancel that.
Those two, and
I'll vote again.
I just opened it one time. Okay, we better check
Mine
that out.
says there was a
Now
problem
it went
recording
through.
your vote.
That went.
Danny voted twice, so he voted for me.
There we go.
Yeah.
Motion passes. Brings us up to new business.
Item 13A, proposal from Security Equipment Incorporated in the amount of $42,835 for security equipment at Memorial Stadium and the parking lots of both Pawnee Park Baseball Field and the Pawnee Plunge.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the proposal from SEI for security equipment at Pawnee Park be accepted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed, nay.
Come up. Oh, there it is. It ain't showing up, but okay, here it is. Got it. Maybe
Motion passes.
Item 13B, proposal from Security Equipment Incorporated in the amount of $48,252 for security equipment at Charlie Lewis Fire Station.
Hey, we voting now again?
I move that the proposal from SEI for security equipment at Charlie Lewis Fire Station be
It okay?
accepted.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed, nay.
So Danny is still stuck on the last one here. His will not go through.
His mine ain't work. I'll vote again here. It's not working right. You got it now.
Okay, it keeps coming up. There was a problem.
There's a problem with your electronic vote.
So you didn't get one for this vote now?
Well,
Try clicking on this agenda item and see what
let me
happens.
vote here once, get this over with.
Refresh it?
Yeah, try that. Click it there and refresh it.
Which one?
The circle.
Circle.
There you go.
Okay, I'll try voting again, like the third time.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on.
There it goes.
Okay, there, that worked.
Motion passes.
Item 13C, proposal from
Click on that.
Security Equipment Incorporated for security equipment in the amount of $235,452 and support and maintenance in the amount of $235 per month for 5 years for the community building.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the proposal from SEI for security equipment for the community building project be accepted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by,
Budget.
oh, sorry,
No, I was just a
Asking
budget
if it was in
question.
the budget, and it is part of the budget.
part of the budget. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye, those opposed, nay.
I think you got it this time. Okay.
Motion passes.
Item 13D, comments from the mayor and city council members. In compliance with the Open Meetings Act, no discussion may be held on this item.
Do we have any comments from council members this evening? Yes, Councilman.
Just want to thank everybody that had anything to do with Columbus Days over this last weekend. It was a great time for everybody that I spoke with. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that was probably a unanimous feeling for all that had anything to do or went down and did anything. It was a great weekend, great crowd, great weather.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. So kudos to the chamber and all the others who had all the effort to put it together and make it such a great event for our community. All right, we'll move on to resolutions.
Item 14A, resolution number R22-105, approving the amendment number 2 to the agreement with Sand Creek Construction Company in the amount of $99,087 and a guaranteed maximum price amount of $207,956.40 for the Pawnee Plunge Family Slide Project.
Mr. Mayor, move for the adoption of number R 22-105. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution R 22-105. Any discussion?
Just a question on the space between the 99 and the 207.
We've already spent some
Oh, okay.
in previous years, so it's just finalizing that final price. So we've already spent some.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14B, resolution number R22-106, approving the agreement with Dave Wilkie for harvesting and baling hay at the municipal airport.
Mr. Mayor, I move that resolution number R 22-106 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R 22-106. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14C, resolution number R22-107, approving the amendment to the agreement with Nebraska Department of Economic Development to extend the completion date of Community Development Block Grant number 19-DTR-101 to November 20th, 2023 for downtown revitalization.
Mr. Mayor, I move resolution number R 22-107 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R 22-107. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to ordinances on their first reading.
Item 15A, ordinance number 22-22, authorizing the mayor and city administrator to execute requests for deeds of reconveyance for the real estate held as security for Habitat for Humanity.
Somebody's had.
This is mine, but I can't, okay, we're gonna suspend. Mr. Mayor, move that the rules be suspended and ordinance number 22-22 be read by number only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read ordinance number 22-22 by number only. All those in favor signify by aye. Motion passes.
Ordinance number 22-22.
Mr. Mayor, move for the adoption of ordinance number 22-22.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 22-22. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us down to unfinished business.
Item 19A, performance evaluation of City Administrator Tara Vasicek.
At this time, I'd like to move that the city council go into closed session. The subject matter to be discussed in closed session shall be performance evaluation of city administrator Tara Vasicek. The reason for going into closed session is for the prevention of needless injury to the reputation of an individual. Mayor James Bulkley and City Attorney Neil Valores will be included in the closed session. We have a second, please.
Second.
And
The council president has made a motion to go into closed session at this time. The subject matter to be discussed in closed session shall be performance evaluation of city administration Tara Vasicek. The reason for going into closed session is for the prevention of needless injury to the reputation of an individual. I, Mayor James Bulkley, and City Attorney Neil Valores will be included in the closed session. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. But you're dead. Motion passes. The city council has voted to go into closed session at this time. Subject matter to be discussed in closed session. So be the performance evaluation of city administrator Tara Vasacek. The reason for going into closed session is for the prevention of needless injury to the reputation of an individual. I, James Bulkley, and City Attorney Neil Valoris will be included in the closed session. We will adjourn to City Hall for a short period and be right back.
Supposed to rain tonight.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna go south of us. They're talking 2 inches in Lincoln. And we'll get probably 200s.
I thought they were supposed to start on that.
Kelly, is the mic cut?
I just did it.
Okay.
Yep, I just did.
They were supposed to start on that Superfund project today. Did they start?
They did. They closed part of it, and then they did some sawing, and they opened it back up.
How's the cameras going?
That's gonna be fun.
The other night, and I didn't learn anything from that. I learned more the last time we were there, when they had discussions about islands and.
Because it wasn't, that's what it's about. That meeting is gonna be again in January or February. This meeting was strictly the EPA stuff. They just addressed their stuff because they knew people were gonna be there for that, so. But it's just the EPA project, technically. So you get go again in January or February, if you want it.
Well, I thought somebody from the police department ought to be there, so.
The big thing is, you guys can't go straight through 26th Avenue if you're doing anything,
Yeah.
you know?
session?
It needs to restart, and you're just collecting some air info.
Is that it? Out of closed session?
We voted?
Motion passes, meeting adjourned.
Thank you all.
Twice again?
It knew what I wanted to do. Super.
I gotta find out what's going on.
Thank you. There's all that stuff.
We're done, we're